At 7 a.m., rain taps the window of a small New York apartment while an old officer fastens the collar of a white shirt. The button gives a crisp little snick, and the room answers with nothing. That silence is the danger, not because it is loud, but because it can slowly teach a man that he no longer owes himself any standards. Most people think self-respect is tested in public, under bright lights, while someone important is watching. But the harder test may be this: what do you become when no one is expected at the door? He reaches for the silk necktie anyway. Not for admiration. Not for performance. For order. In this lesson, samurai discipline is not about pretending loneliness does not exist. It is about standing correctly inside it, until dignity becomes a room you can still live in. The retired officer stands in front of the narrow closet like he is reporting to a place that no longer has his name on a door. The apartment is not dirty. That would be too easy, too dramatic. The sink is mostly clear. The floor has been swept. The mail sits in one neat stack beside a ceramic bowl with 2 old keys in it. But the room has a kind of stillness that does not come from peace. It comes from years of no one stepping in, no one hanging a wet coat on the back of a chair, no one saying his name from the hallway. New York is awake outside. Tires hiss through rain on the street below. Somewhere, a delivery truck backs up with a dull electronic beep. The radiator knocks once, then settles. Behind him, the coffee maker clicks and breathes steam into the morning. And there, in that small room, he lifts the silk necktie from the hanger. A lesser story would turn this into vanity. A lonely man dressing up to pretend he is still important. A man trapped in the past. A man trying to fool himself with fabric and polished shoes. But that is not what is happening. He is not trying to impress an audience. There is no audience. That is the whole confrontation. The human mind changes when it believes it is unwatched. Small permissions begin to arrive. No one will notice if the shirt is wrinkled. No one will care if the cup stays on the table. No one will ask why the blinds remain half closed for 3 days. No one will hear the sentence he almost says out loud: "Why bother?" That sentence is quiet. It does not kick the door in. It waits. It sits in the chair across from him while he drinks coffee. It follows him from the bathroom mirror to the kitchen counter. It sounds reasonable, even mature, because it uses facts. No guests are coming. No shift is starting. No young officer is watching how he carries himself. No appointment requires a tie. The room has not seen a guest in years, and silence knows how to make neglect feel practical. He has had mornings when he almost believed it. The robe stayed on too long. The coffee went cold. The newspaper remained folded because the headlines felt like weather from another country. Once, he stood with his hand on the closet door and let it drop without opening it. He told himself it was just comfort. Just one morning. Just a man in his own home. But the body knows when comfort has started to rot. His shoulders sagged before noon. His voice, when he answered a wrong number call, came out rough from disuse. He caught his reflection in the dark television screen and looked away faster than he needed to. Not because he was afraid of age. Age had already introduced itself honestly. He looked away because there was a difference between being alone and abandoning the man alone in the room. That difference is where REI begins. Ray is often mistaken for manners. Polite words. Good posture. A clean shirt. The correct greeting at the correct time. But those are only the visible edges. Underneath them is a harder law: form protects what feeling may fail to protect. Because feeling is not dependable at 7 a.m. in a quiet apartment. Feeling may say, stay loose. Let the day blur. You earn the right to stop caring. Feeling may say that dignity requires witnesses, that standards are a public costume, that a man becomes unnecessary when the world stops asking for him. The retired officer knows better, though not perfectly. He does not know it as a slogan. He knows it in his fingers. His fingers know the collar button. The crisp snick when it closes at the throat. A tiny sound, almost ridiculous in the scale of a city. But in that room, it lands with force. It says the morning has a beginning. It says the body has been summoned. It says the man will not drift into the day like furniture. He threads the silk necktie under the collar. The tie is older than the apartment lease. Dark blue, with a small diagonal pattern you would only notice up close. It has been worn to ceremonies, funerals, promotion dinners, hard conversations and rooms where everyone pretended not to be nervous. It has absorbed the weight of other mornings. Public mornings. Mornings with duty attached to them. Now it hangs against his chest for a private cup of coffee. That is why the act matters. A uniform once told the world what he represented. The suit now tells him. There is a particular danger in retirement that nobody puts in the brochure. It is not only boredom. Not only too much time. It is the slow removal of mirrors. Not bathroom mirrors. Human mirrors. The daily glance from another person that says, I see you. The small corrections that come from being expected somewhere. A name on a schedule. A place at a table. A reason to stand straight before leaving the house. When those mirrors vanish, a person has to build an inner one. Some people cannot bear that work. They become whatever the room allows. They let the couch decide the spine, the phone decide the hour, the stale air decide the mood. They do not fall apart all at once. They lower the standard in such small increments that each step can be defended. The officer feels that pull. He is not above it. When the rain thickens and the windows turn gray, part of him wants to sit without structure. Part of him wants to let the apartment become a cave with a coffee machine. Part of him wants to punish the silence by joining it, to make himself as unannounced as the room has become. There is even a pride in it, if he lets the mind twist far enough. No one visits? Fine. Then no one gets the best of me. No one calls? Fine. Then I owe nothing to the morning. No one sees me? Fine. Then I disappear on my own terms. That sounds like strength when a person is hurt. It is usually surrender wearing a hard face. He tightens the knot and stops before the mirror. The knot is slightly off. His right hand moves to correct it, then pauses. For half a second, irritation rises. Not rage. Nothing cinematic. Just that small flash that comes when the world gives you one more tiny thing to fix and there is no one around to thank you for fixing it. He could leave it crooked. The coffee would taste the same. The rain would still fall. The building would not care. But the crooked knot would know. So he adjusts it. That small correction is the confrontation in its purest form. Not between him and another person. Not between the past and the present. Between the part of him that says no one is watching and the part that answers, I am. Self-respect in solitude is not a mood. It is a maintained structure. The suit is not magic. The tie does not erase the empty chair. It does not bring footsteps into the hallway or laughter into the kitchen. It does not soften the fact that the room has learned his habits too well. The silence remains, and it has weight. But when he dresses before sitting down alone, he refuses to let that silence become the highest authority in the apartment. That matters more than it looks. Because a room can train a person. The way a chair is left crooked. The way dishes wait overnight. The way a man speaks to himself when there is no one to interrupt the insult. The way he stops opening the blinds because the view is the same brick wall it was yesterday. Each detail asks a question: are you still under your own command, or have you handed command to absence? Ray answers through form. Not dramatic form. Not theatrical elegance. Just the old civilian liturgy of care: collar closed, tie straightened, cuffs buttoned, shoes placed correctly beneath the chair. The kind of order that does not shout. The kind that can survive without applause. He walks to the small kitchen table. One chair. One cup. A folded napkin beside the saucer because he placed it there, not because anyone required it. His knees lower with a controlled slowness. He sits as if the room deserves manners. And maybe that is the point. Not that the room deserves it. That he does. Training begins before he feels worthy of the suit. It begins while the collar still feels too tight against his throat, while the rain makes the window look older than it is, while the room gives him no encouragement at all. He does not wait for the morning to become meaningful. He gives the morning a shape. The first act is small enough to be ignored, which is exactly why it matters. He stands still after the collar button closes. He does not rush to the tie. He does not reach for the phone on the counter. He lets the crisp snick of that button finish echoing in his own mind. One breath in. One breath out. His fingers rest against the cotton at his throat, not squeezing, just confirming, I am here. The day has started. That pause is not decoration. It interrupts the old slide. Because the silence wants momentum. It wants him to move without noticing, to shuffle from bed to sink to coffee to chair, one gray motion after another. If it can keep him half awake, it can make neglect feel natural. So he breaks the chain with one deliberate stop. Then he names the room without drama. Window. Table. Cup. Tie. Rain. He does not say it out loud. He does not need to. The point is not performance. The point is to bring the mind back from the empty years and return it to the objects in front of him. The room may not have seen a guest in years, but it is still a room. It still has edges. It still has tasks. It still has a man standing in it who can choose how to move. His right hand reaches for the silk necktie. He takes longer than necessary. Not because he is slow, but because haste would turn the act into costume. He lets the fabric slide over his palm. The silk is cool at first, then warmed by his fingers. He checks the narrow end, the wide end, the fall of it against his shirt. The old part of him remembers doing this fast in locker rooms, precinct bathrooms, courthouse mirrors, mornings when the whole city seemed to be waiting on him to be useful. Now the city is not waiting. So the training changes. When the world used to demand his standards, obedience was easier. A schedule can discipline a man from the outside. A superior officer, a roll call, a ceremony, a funeral, a public duty, those things carry their own pressure. But here, in the apartment, there is no pressure except the one he is willing to keep. He crosses the wide end over the narrow end. The knot forms in stages. Around. Through. Down. Tighten. The movements are familiar, but he refuses to let familiarity make them careless. He watches his hands in the mirror. The skin is thinner now. The veins show more. The knuckles do not move with the same confidence they had 30 years ago. He does not insult them for that. He gives them the task and lets them complete it. That is another part of the discipline, no private contempt. A lonely room can make a man speak to himself like an enemy. Old fool. Useless. Nobody cares. Look at you. The words do not need volume to leave bruises inside the day. He has heard versions of them. Maybe not every morning. Maybe not in full sentences. But enough. So when the knot comes out uneven, he does not punish the hand. He fixes the knot. He lifts his chin, loosens the silk, centers it, draws it firm again. The correction is quiet. It does not ask the room to admire it. It simply refuses to let a crooked thing remain crooked when his hand is still capable of care. Next, he opens the blinds. The apartment resists the light in its own small way. The cord catches for a second. Dust trembles along the slats. Gray rain light enters, thin and cold, touching the table, the arm of the chair, the framed photograph he does not always look at directly. Outside, New York moves without intimacy. Umbrellas tilt. Brake lights smear red on the wet street. A man in a hooded jacket steps around a puddle like he has done it 10,000 times. The officer stands there and lets the city be distant. He does not turn distance into insult. That is work. On weaker mornings, the sight of other people moving through the day can feel like proof that life continued without asking his permission. The mind can make a case out of anything. A stranger crossing the street becomes evidence. A lit window in another building becomes evidence. A laugh from the sidewalk, muffled by rain, becomes evidence. The silence in his apartment gathers all of it and says, "See? You are outside the current now." He keeps his hand on the blind cord until that thought passes. Not disappears. Passes. Then he walks to the kitchen and prepares coffee as if serving someone he respects. The mug is not grabbed from the shelf. It is chosen. Plain white, heavier than the others. He rinses it with hot water first, warming the ceramic so the coffee will not lose heat too quickly. He wipes a small ring of water from the counter with the edge of a cloth. He folds the cloth once and places it back near the sink. These are not grand gestures. That is why they can be repeated. He measures the coffee. He waits for the machine to finish instead of walking away mid-brew and forgetting why he entered the kitchen. Steam rises. The smell fills the apartment, dark and steady. He places the mug on a saucer, then sets it on the table beside a folded napkin. A person watching from the outside might call it excessive. But no one is watching from the outside. That is the point of the training. Ray in solitude means the absence of witnesses does not cancel the ceremony. It means he does not need a guest in order to become a host to his own life. It means he can offer order to a room that has forgotten the sound of conversation. He pulls the chair out fully before sitting. No dragging. No collapse. He lowers himself with the care of a man who has learned that posture is not about looking proud. It is about refusing to let the body vote for defeat before the day has even begun. Both feet on the floor. The tie rests down the center of his shirt. The coffee waits. Before he drinks, he lets his eyes move once around the apartment. Not searching for what is missing. That search has no bottom. He looks for what can still be tended. The plant near the window needs water. The stack of mail needs opening. The old shoes by the door could use polish. The photograph on the shelf has gathered a pale line of dust along the frame. The battle shrinks. He does not have to solve the whole silence. He does not have to fill the apartment with guests, rewrite the past, become young again, or explain to anyone why the mornings sometimes feel longer than they should. He has to water the plant, open the mail, polish the shoes, dust the frame, Drink the coffee while it is hot. One correct act at a time. That is how a ritual becomes a rail under the hand in a dark stairwell. You do not hold it because it makes the stairs vanish. You hold it because it keeps your weight from going where the darkness wants it to go. The silk necktie is that rail. At first, it was memory. Then it became resistance. Now, as he sits in the rain-gray apartment, it becomes instruction. It tells the shoulders to settle back. It tells the chin not to sink. It tells the hand to lift the cup without hurry. It tells the room, you may be silent, but you do not command the standard here. He takes the first sip. The coffee is strong. Slightly bitter. Hot enough to make him pay attention. And for one clean second, the room is not empty in the same way. It is still quiet. The chair across from him is still unused. No footsteps stop at his door. But the morning has been met. The silence has not been obeyed blindly. A man has entered his own day with form. That is the practice. Not to dress up because someone may arrive. To dress up so that when no one arrives, you are still there. By the time the coffee is halfway gone, the rain has softened into a steady gray veil over the city. Nothing dramatic has happened. No one has knocked. No old colleague has called to say they were thinking of him. No neighbor has appeared with a casserole and an apology for all the years of hallway silence. The apartment has not been rescued by sentiment. It is still small. Still quiet. Still carrying the same unused chair, the same pale marks on the wall where pictures once hung, the same hallway outside his door where footsteps pass without stopping. But the room has changed in one important way. He is no longer sitting inside it as if he has been left there. He is sitting inside it as if he has entered on purpose. That difference is almost invisible. A camera would have to be patient to catch it. The shoulders set back by half an inch. The napkin moved square to the table edge. The cup returned to the saucer without a clatter. The old officer's eyes lifting toward the window instead of sinking into the dark glass of the television. The silk necktie rests against his shirt, no longer a reminder of who he used to be. Not exactly. It has become something quieter and more useful. A line down the center of the body. A small weight of order. A private agreement. He reaches for the stack of mail. For years, the mail has been one of the room's favorite weapons. It comes every day with official language, advertisements, notices, envelopes printed by machines that know his address but not his name in any human way. On bad mornings, he lets it sit. Then the stack grows, and the stack becomes proof. Proof that he is behind. Proof that the world still demands small responses from him without offering much warmth in return. Today, he opens the top envelope. He does not open all of them. That would be the fantasy version of change, the kind where a man defeats the whole room before breakfast and becomes new by noon. He opens one. He reads it. He folds the paper cleanly. He places it in the proper drawer. One envelope is not a victory parade. It is better than that. It is evidence. The silence is still there, but it has lost a little authority. He stands and carries the empty envelope to the trash. On the way back, he notices the framed photograph on the shelf. He has avoided it some mornings. Not because he has forgotten who is in it, but because memory can be rude when it arrives before the first cup of coffee. It can walk in wearing the face of someone absent and take over the whole room. His hand pauses near the frame. He does not force himself into a feeling. He does not perform grief for an imaginary audience. He simply lifts the frame, wipes the dust from the top edge with his thumb, and sets it back down straight. The act is small. Almost nothing. But his breathing changes after it. There are moments in a solitary life when dignity does not look like strength. It looks like not turning away from an object. It looks like touching the dust without letting the dust become an accusation. It looks like allowing the past to remain present without handing it the steering wheel. The retired officer returns to the table. The coffee has cooled slightly. Outside, a siren moves somewhere uptown, thin and distant, swallowed by rain. The city keeps going in its rough, indifferent way. There is comfort in that, if a man does not demand tenderness from it. New York was never built to cradle anyone for long. It gives weather, noise, brick, steam, crowds, rent, and the occasional mercy of a good cup of coffee in a quiet morning. He takes another sip. The bitterness has settled. Earlier, the collar button sounded like a summons. The crisp snick cut through the apartment and announced the beginning of form. Now the same closed collar feels less like armor and more like alignment. Not a shield against loneliness. A way to keep loneliness from rearranging his posture. That is the transformation. He has not become cheerful. He has not solved age. He has not made solitude beautiful by pretending it does not bruise. The empty chair is still empty. The room is still gone years without a guest. Some evenings will still stretch too long. Some mornings will still ask why he should bother. But now there is an answer with muscle memory. Button the collar. Tie the silk. Open the blinds. Warm the cup. Sit down like a man who is not resigned from his own life. Modern samurai discipline does not need a battlefield to prove itself. Sometimes the battlefield is a breakfast table with one chair pulled out. Sometimes it is the first hour of the day, before the phone rings, before the errands, before the world gives you a role to play. Sometimes the test is whether you will keep a standard when there is no reward except the quiet knowledge that you did not betray yourself. He rises again and walks to the closet. For a moment, the camera would expect him to remove the tie. The coffee is finished. The private ceremony is over. No one came. The practical argument returns with its old American efficiency. Why keep wearing the suit now? But he does not take it off. He opens the closet, takes out a soft brush, and runs it once along the shoulders of the jacket. Not because the fabric needs much. Because care, repeated after usefulness has ended, teaches the hand a deeper law. A thing does not become worthless because the room is empty. A man does not become careless because the day is private. He places the brush back. Then he turns toward the small entryway and looks down at his shoes. They are polished, but not freshly. The rain outside would ruin them in minutes, and he has no reason to go out yet. Still, he bends, takes the cloth from the lower shelf, and works a slow circle over the toe of the right shoe. The motion brings back old mornings. Hallways. Inspections. Wet sidewalks outside formal buildings. Men and women pretending they were not nervous before ceremonies where names would be read and chairs would stay empty for a reason. He does not chase those memories away. He lets them pass through the room, then return to wherever memories go when they are not being used as weapons. The shoe darkens under the cloth. His hand is steady enough. That is enough for the moment. The silence watches, but it no longer gets to define what the scene means. Before, it said, "Nobody is here." Now the suit answers, "Somebody is here." Before, it said, "No one will know." Now the tie answers, "He will know." Before, it said, "Let the morning fall apart quietly." Now the officer's hands answer by putting one thing after another back into order. He straightens. The apartment remains modest. The rain remains. The guestless years remain. But there is a different line running through the room now, from the closed collar to the polished shoe, from the folded napkin to the opened envelope, from the dusted photograph to the man standing upright in his own doorway. The world did not return his audience. He returned his standard. Maybe your room is not a small apartment in New York. Maybe it is a kitchen after everyone has gone upstairs, an office before the first email, a bathroom mirror before another ordinary shift. The test is the same. What standard do you keep when there is no audience? The retired officer does not dress to deny the silence. He dresses so the silence cannot lower him without permission. The silk necktie is no longer about status. It is a line of return. A small ritual that says, "I am still responsible for the man standing here." So today, choose one private standard. Make the bed clean. Put the cup away. Button the shirt. Stand up before the room teaches you to shrink. And if this spoke to you, stay with samurai discipline. Ritual is not decoration. It is the outer shape of inner order.